On to a tech tip.
We're on to a tech tip.
Okay. Should we set this up? Do you want me to set this up?
Wait, Brig is calling me out about reports. Oh, it is on, Brig.
Great.
Let's do this.
I want to watch this. I know where my money's going.
This. Where?
Brig.
You know what? That is rude. You're underestimating my OCD right now. All right.
All right. OIDC.
Yes.
What is it? Why do you want it?
All right. First thing, I'm going to say this first. There are, I think we have 2 or 3 articles that are included in this description. And I'm just going to tell you this. Glenn was updating this article last night.
Well, yeah.
So we're still adding stuff to it.
The fun thing is like Microsoft likes to change their UI and where buttons are.
Yes.
Every 6 minutes. So specifically for Entra,
yes,
like they move stuff. And if you're on the preview for their newest admin thing, things might be in a different place versus their classic.
Yeah. So we're going to start with kind of defining what it is, as we kind of talked about. So OpenID Connect is really what it's called. So why would we even do this? That's probably where we should start with it. Pretend like you're not a 365 shop. You
have an identity provider, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has an identity provider.
Yes.
Somewhat. Maybe you're a Google shop. Maybe you're an Okta, OneLogin, There's a bunch of them, right?
Yes.
Someone lands on something that provides identity services for their organization.
Yes. So I'm going to tell you the ones that we currently
have an article for.
Yeah, or support.
Yeah. Well, if your service, your identity provider supports OIDC, it works here. We just might not have a knowledge base article for it.
Yeah. So this is pulled straight out of our article. So right now it's Entra ID, Okta, Duo, single sign-on, Oracle, IDCS, and OneLogon. And in the article, it actually says if they aren't supported, reach out to us and we'll see about if we can support them. Yeah. So we're just going to go straight off of the article. Okay. So the first article that we're going to talk about tells you how to do it inside of Entra. And you're just going to follow these directions. And we're not going to do it on the show because it's very click heavy. It's a whole lot of clicking. But essentially what you're going to do is you're going to create an application inside of Entra. Go to entra.microsoft.com. You're going to create the application. You're going to go to endpoints. Then you're going to create a client secret.
You're getting
for that
3
application.
Fields.
3 fields. That's right.
Yep, is what Portal needs.
Yep, and then you're gonna go find this redirect URI. Then you're going to assign the permission. So we need 3 identities.
Yeah. So let's go
fields.
show what those look like, and then we'll talk about the permissions because that's why you go through this effort.
Yes, because we're looking for discovery, document URI, client ID, and client secret.
So let's go to Portal and let's show people where they would put those in. So that's portal.pdq.com.
Yep.
Account, scroll
Mine is
all the way down to the bottom.
Yep.
And here's the settings.
This is what we're looking for.
Okay.
And everyone's going to be the same. These are just the ones that I pulled off of the application that I created in Entra.
Okay.
So once I populate these, this is step 1. I have to populate these.
Yep.
Then as the administrator for my environment, now I'm going to say, what do I want to allow for the users in my environment?
Yes.
So I have populated this. That's step 1.
So this is what made OIDC available for you.
Yes. Now I'm going to scroll up because now I need to make some changes. Okay. So you see right now it's turned off, and this passwordless with email. So this is going to be a legacy, and they talk about this in the article. So I'm just going to call it out because you want to be careful because again, I say this is legacy. Once you turn it off, you can't turn it back on. And it talks about this in the article.
Yeah. So make a conscious decision here.
Yes.
Right. If you turn off username and password, you can't turn it back on. You turn off passwordless email, you can turn it back on.
Yes.
You can get to a point where you can turn off all authentication, right? That's probably not a great idea.
Don't start with yourself.
And the other kind of call out here I want to make is if you're the only admin in this under your team, I'd highly, highly suggest you create a backup admin.
Yes.
Because you can get into a situation here where you're like, well, I thought I had OIDC right, or I thought I had this right and wrong, and now I can't log in. And if you're the only admin and you can't get back in, you're gonna have to contact support, and it's not a super simple process to get you back in.
Right.
The reason it's not is we want to make sure that you are who you say you are, right? Like we have this product Connect where you can get in and make changes on computers. I got to make sure you are the person you're claiming to be before I help you get back in.
Yeah.
Same thing with MFA.
definitely don't start with yourself. That's why we're kind of talking about that.
Yeah.
Not to scare you, just don't start with yourself. Okay. So, and again,
so pick what you want here. Like OIDC is different than Google and Microsoft in that portal. Yes. Google and Microsoft in there, those are like the social login type provider, the open login, where it's just validating you are who you say you are, but not giving you any additional controls.
Right.
So the business case, why do I want to use OIDC or OpenID Connect? Is I get to bring my own identity provider.
Yes.
And when I bring my own identity provider, I get to set all kinds of rules about when someone can authenticate, right? What they can actually do. So let's say that I've set up OIDC in Portal, and I leave that as my only available login option. Now, anytime anybody wants to connect, that authentication request, instead of going to PDQ to say yes, no, is going to go to your identity provider.
Right.
And those identity providers have so many features that you can turn on to check. Hey, maybe it's a required location, like IP location. Maybe it's on a required device. Maybe it's on a required device and a required location. You can really start to scope down who can get in and under what conditions.
Yeah. So if you want to be extra secure, this is a great
and it's going to depend on your identity provider, what you can and can't do. Okta, you can do a bunch of stuff. Entra, you can do a bunch of stuff. I think Entra calls it a conditional access policy.
Yeah. Per user, even if you wanted to
per
be
user,
so
per group,
granular.
per authorized group. Yep. So that lets you in, and then you have RBAC inside of Connect on top of that.
Yeah.
So this is where you can get very granular on when you can log in, and then what you can actually do once you're logged in.
Yeah. But again, I'm going to call back to the article because make sure you read it, because it starts with the login session duration. And you want to make sure that the 10 days is the default. But you can even change this. So pay attention to this article. Starting here.
So this is where, that's kind of the OIDC, I think, in like a nutshell.
Yes.
Like, this is why you do this thing.
Yeah. But pay attention.
Yeah, pay attention. Don't get yourself locked out. If you get yourself locked out, we can help you, but it's going to be painful for you, and it's going to be painful for us. Nobody wants to do that.
Nobody wants to.
Yep.
Okay, do we have any questions about that?
Yeah, it looks like here it's like, this is the way, and if you're not testing prod, can you call yourself sysadmin? Please don't test in prod. Well, I mean, you can. If you want to go get like a notarized letter to prove who you are, be my guest. It sucks.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Question. So there is one question. What's the business case for doing this? Is it secure? Pros, cons of doing this instead of creating manual accounts?
So I think Josh just answered it. If you have a situation where you wanted to be more secure, you wanted to bring your own.
Yeah, think about a case of, it's not like a fun case to think about, but think about an employee termination. Maybe a sysadmin on your team has a lot of access, right? And it's a termination. If you've got all these manually created accounts everywhere, that's a large orchestrated effort to go disable them quickly. Whereas if you're pointing everything back to your identity provider with SAML or OIDC, you can disable the account and revoke all sessions there, and it instantly is applied to everything that's looking back to the identity provider. That way you're not having to remember, oh yeah, they had access to here, they had access to this, they had access to this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Or you're not a 365 user. You use Okta.
Yeah. You can do the same thing with Okta.
Yeah.
Okay. I think there's a question there on OIDC versus SAML 2.0. I think it's a preference thing. I think OIDC is easier. They're just two different ways of accomplishing the same task. I just think OIDC is easier.